time. And you think about that in the context of today, we probably have a division. I'm not going to say probably. We clearly have a division within this country that parallels what happened that led to the Civil War. And so, in my mind, it takes somebody that's willing to pull their bootstraps up. But you know, the other thing about ranching or farming or anybody's life, no matter what the business is, but I can relate most to this. You get up a lot of days with a plan, and this is what you're going to accomplish today. And then the cattle get spooked by a wolf, or whatever it might be. Maybe it was a rattlesnake. You know, rattlesnakes are native to South Dakota. I lived in South Dakota for 5 years. First 30 days at my house on North South Dakota, I killed 17 rattlesnakes. You get to be a little testy about that little sound when it comes like this. So whatever it takes, those cattle scatter, and what do you do the rest of the day? Not what you planned on. But what happened the next day after you got them all gathered back up? You learned a thing or two about what it took to get them gathered back up quickly. I found a parallel in that in this very moment. And so we won't talk about who's here, who's not here. And you know, we in Arise USA, we do not do one single thing right in communicating where to be when. We left Keystone, South Dakota, you thought we were gone. And look around here. We have here who's supposed to be here. And you're here for a reason. And that is absolutely awesome. And by the way, that's why we're here. Because we are rebuilding the community of America. Whether we come from a populated place, a very rural, dense area, no matter where it might be, we are rebuilding America. And I'm just going to tell you this, because we've had some fantastic conversations. I've had phenomenal conversations since we started this tour May 15th. And there's one thing that I just really don't want to hear anymore. When's he coming back? He's not coming back. I'm here to tell you he's not coming back. But I'm here to tell you that he's a catalyst on how we take it back. Because the moral of the story is that because we now are in tune and we're alert and we're looking at all of these things that we've gotten away from, including how closely we follow this book, we learn that, my goodness, we weren't doing things that we're supposed to be doing because we didn't lose these rights and lose track of how to follow this path since January 21st, 2021. This has been happening for 100 years. And it took something drastic to wake us up to say, we got to start taking it back. And there will never be a person walk into the White House that's going to make a difference to take it back. It has to happen in Pennington County, South Dakota, or whatever county you came from. And that's why we talk about constitutional counties, faith, family, and freedom. It could not have been more appropriately named. But the only way we get back to the constitutional county is if you go home and engage and make it happen. You know, Joe and I were talking on the way down here, and we have people all upset, and there's nothing I want to do less than pay taxes. But you know, it doesn't matter what the income tax rate is, the federal income tax rate is. If you don't control the taxes at the local level, you don't need to worry about federal income tax because you lose your address. So if you don't control what happens in property tax, if you don't have to control what happens in city sales tax, all of those things, that's why we engage locally. You know, and the other story that I want to share with you that's really for me, and I got a little bit of that this week in Lame Deer, Montana, Chief Philip Whiteman Jr., which was such a huge moment in our trip here. We put a horse in a round corral, and there's so many life lessons that can be learned in a round corral. And Lonnie Joe was kind of walking us through some of those. But there's a difference between, you know, Lonnie Joe, I don't want to confuse you, he's part of the Sons of the San Joaquin. And they got a lot of inspiration from the Sons of the Pioneers. Does everybody know who was in the Sons of the Pioneers? Who was it? Maybe, but I'm focused on a guy named Ken Curtis. Festus. What Festus ride every day in Dodge City? What was that mule's name? Ruth. By God, we got a Gunsmoke club right over here now. Everybody ever trained a mule? the difference between training a mule? By the way, a mule's half a horse, half a donkey. You know the difference between training a mule from a horse? Because I've done both. By the way, that's a $10,000 surgery on my finger after the mule did a little wreck. You screw up with a mule, and he never forgets. And that mule, every day, will be looking for the opportunity to get you right back to that spot. And it's our job that if we do make that mistake, that we don't let the mule get back to that spot. Folks, I just gave you your government for the last 245 years. We cannot forget. And if we get back to that spot, we got to buck them off. We have to be that mule. Obviously, you got something on your mind.
Yeah. I never trained a mule, but I made a tame one wild. So it would have been a good candidate for you to try to retrain.
Lonnie Johanna, we can train a lot of tame mules wild. That's absolutely spot on. Okay, but to my point, which I think you just helped make, I'll have to think about that on the way home, but you can't forget. You got to be like a mule, and you can't forget, and get back to that spot where we can all come together. Because at the end of the day, what are you doing in the round corral? You're developing a partnership. And what are we doing, traveling this country in a circle? We're developing a partnership so that together we can go forward in a path that blazes a trail that makes a difference. That's why we're here. That's why you're here. And we're just going to kind of informally, if you got questions, you just throw up your hand. We're going to kind of informally walk through a program in a way that we haven't done it yet. But that's the beauty of it all. Thanks to Lincoln Bob, we have a microphone. I've been inspired by this guy so much in 3 weeks you can't believe it. I now know I'm not going to leave home without Wyatt Earp clothing and a microphone and speakers, because you just never know when you might have somebody that wants to listen. You better be ready. Lincoln Bob, I got somebody that wants to listen. Bob Jackson Minor.
Thank you, sir. So, we have all kinds of options of what we might do here tonight. And what I'd like to do is hear from some of you what's really important to you. Interactive to me means that we listen to you as well as we talk to you. Who has something, anybody along the way, that you'd like to share about anything at all regarding our situation, or anything at all, any of the issues that we talked about earlier tonight, or whatever is up? If you have something to share, would you please hold your hand up so I can see who that would be? And if you'd just like to listen, that's fine too. Great. Anybody? Okay, if something comes up, you just let me know, all right? You can interrupt me at almost any time, but not just any time. So, one of the things that is important to me personally is the sense of community and the sense of unity. And I just love what Charlotte Rose talked to me the other night about unity through sovereignty. I think that's an amazing thing. Do you have anything you'd like to share about that, Charlotte Rose, unity through sovereignty? You can process for a minute if you'd like. Yeah, because this is one of the most intelligent people I have met in a while, and believe me, we're surrounded by highly intelligent people in our audiences and on the tour. And it's a real honor to be associated with such intelligent people as y'all, and especially folks like Charlotte Rose. So, the importance to me is this concept of unity. And unity through sovereignty is a very powerful idea. We each have individual sovereignty that God gave us. It's our birthright. The government did not give it to us. The government cannot give it to us, and they can only take it away if we allow them to. Because we, the people, are the sovereigns. We, the people, formed the Constitution, and the government is a product of the Constitution. The government is not a party to the Constitution. The representatives of the original colonies that became states are the parties to the Constitution. And they are our ancestors, both politically and nationally, and in many cases, genetically. We, the people, have unalienable rights given us by the Creator, given to us by the Creator. And it doesn't matter how we call that Creator. If we have a Christian orientation, we'll call that Creator God, or the Lord, or however we do. If we have an orientation from another perspective, for example, Chief Philip Whiteman has a relationship with the divine that is profound, and he doesn't use the same language, generally doesn't use English to think of it or to communicate it. He uses his native tongue in the Cherokee language, and he speaks of the divine Creator, the source, and will refer to that Creator often as she. And that works in the nature of that way of thinking. And it's no less connected to the divine than any other way we might want to language it. And I've met people that have relationships with the divine that are profoundly honest and profoundly true, and their beliefs are different than ours. So what unity through sovereignty means is that they also have the right to relate to the divine and to each other and to you and me the way they do. And if we have real unity, then we have folks with a Republican background, folks with a Democrat background, and folks with a very mixed background like my own. I've been Democrat, I've been Republican, and of course I'm done with all of that now. I really want to be an American, and I want to get along with other Americans. And the oligarchs, these powers that be, these 1%ers, these folks don't care about the same things that we do. But God bless them. God bless them and help them wake up. There are people that I'm willing to love from a distance, but I do not want to participate in their evil stuff. And I have the right to not participate in their evil stuff. So, when we claim our own sovereignty and we look to the people that my grandma called the light bearers, the people that carry the light of God in their heart by whatever language and whatever ways of defining, the people that carry that love, that compassion for each other. And everywhere I've been in this world, in Malaysia and Mexico and Jamaica and everywhere I've worked, I find light bearers, some Christians, some Muslims, some Rastafarians, but the light of God is the light of God, however it shines through any individual. And when we have with ourselves a willingness to be open to other people and for the light of God to shine through them the way it does, without intruding our own viewpoints on them, to accept them as they are, then we are qualified to move into unity. Because although I truly believe that believing Christians are absolutely one of the most important groups of people in this country for restoring the truth of this nation to our descendants, that Christian believers are really part of God's frontline people here. I know that to be true. But I also know that we have allies in people that think differently than we do. And if we make room in our hearts to love them and accept them as they are, then we're really living teachings of Christ. The ability to love unconditionally is a as far as I've been able to tell, one of the greatest teachings of Christ. To love God with all your heart and soul and mind. To love your neighbor as yourself. These are powerful ideas. I was so touched by what Chief Philip did, and the way he talked, and the reverence with which he spoke of the trees that are our relatives, and the animals that are our relatives. That's a powerful paradigm. I've been touched by the same thing, not expecting it, just happened while I was out working in the pasture. And the plants, many of the plants that people would call weeds, and do call weeds, and have no idea about what they are, except they're not the stuff they want to grow there, I started finding an astounding affection for some of these plants. There's one that grows big and tall and has beautiful leaves and spikes, and you see them in flower shops. They cut the tops to do flower arrangements. It's called teasel. Now that's a weed that everybody wants to get rid of. And I see this beautiful creature, and all of a sudden my heart is blown open by the love of God in relationship to this plant. And I'm saying, whoa, who are you, sister? What is this? And God tapped me with some kind of an awareness to study this plant and understand. So I started looking about it. I went on the internet and looked up teasel, and the first 14 pages I found were testimonies of people who got rid of Lyme disease using the root of this plant. Wow. All right. Okay. Wow. Thank you, God. So we get these intuitions. Now that's a place where the native people just tend to live in. It's kind of new to me. Another one that everyone kept wanting to mow down, named plantain. Well, it sounds like a banana plant, but it isn't. It's another little plant, grows, just a foot tall and pretty leaves. That stuff, if you get a mosquito bite, you can chew it up and rub it right on, and that itch will go away in just a few seconds, no more than a minute, and it'll be gone for hours. So I made some salve out of that to see if I could. Well, by golly, it works. It's wonderful. Now, that wasn't taught to me in a school. That was taught to me in the pasture. And then I went and said, what are you telling me, God, about this plant? And that's just two of them. We found self-heal. We found all kinds of plants out there that do this thing. This beautiful creation of ours is far more abundant and interesting than our former philosophies can allow. And if we open our hearts to being in the present moment, to being in love with the creation as well as the Creator, we find that these are our relatives. That's an amazing experience. These ideas and these realities that we can open up to are, in my mind, a part of unity, because I feel a different unity with the plants. I certainly feel a different unity with each of you as a result of that experience, and with other people as well. Now, we have a lot of folks in our culture right now that are sleepwalking. And I know what it is to be a sleepwalker because I spent most of my life doing it. How many of you here have ever been a sleepwalker? Thank you. Yeah. Anybody not? I'm just wondering, Yeah. You've been awake forever? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Well, once you wake up, you know you were asleep. But while you're asleep, you don't know it. Right? Anybody here have folks in their family that just can't see the evidence even when it's right in front of them? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, me too. And I love them. And I'm grateful for them. And what I've learned about that is not to try to push my ideas on them so I could get them to wake up. One of my teachers one time said, it's very important not to wake up a sleepwalker. Just lead them back to where they can lay down and go back to bed. Because it's dangerous for them. Now, when people are ready to wake up, they'll let us know. They ask questions, or they say, why do you do that? And then you can send up a pilot balloon. You know what is a pilot balloon? When you go out hot air ballooning, the first thing they do before they fill up their balloons is they send up a helium balloon, and they watch how it goes. And if it gets really messed around, and it looks rough up there, if anybody there, first flight or not, says, should we fly today, everyone packs up and goes home. The answer is no. If asked, it's no. But if everybody watches this and the pilots say, oh, the track goes that way at 300 feet and it goes that way at 450, comes back over here at 700, yeah, then we fly. So sometimes you got to send up a pilot balloon with somebody and find out if you're going to have permission to talk. Or you ask a question, have you ever noticed such and such? But I've noticed that when I get on my high horse and start telling people what they ought to know, well, you know, it's like, we're like dogs in this way. When you push down on the dog's back, what does it do? It pushes back up, right? So if we push, we get that resistance. And if we invite, then we at least have an opportunity to be available when they're ready to ask. But in the meantime, we have a sincere responsibility because we know that we carry the power to make a difference. We carry the power to go inside of our own communities and talk to the ones and organize with that few that we can meet with every week and talk about these things and say, how can we invite more people in? But always an invitation. An invitation. Invitations work better than protests. Sometimes protests work better. Like Robert David Steele says, when you go to the school board, don't go alone. Get 200 people together and go. And that's a fact. That works. If you're talking to your sheriff, it might be better one at a time for a little while, and then a bunch of you. But what our aim here is constitutional counties, constitutional sheriffs, and constitutionally minded human beings united through sovereignty. Does that sound like a good idea? Yes. Thank you. I love y'all. Question here?
Well, not so much a question, but...
Would you be willing to talk right into this?
Oh, absolutely. Not so much a question. I just want to say, and I think probably everybody in this group could agree, that, I mean, for myself, I have for a long time, I would say close to a year and a half, 2 years, been listening to all this. I know exactly what you're telling us. But like whoever said, God puts us in this spot at this time. I have been so inspired and so motivated that I'm going back to our little 1,500 population city in northern Minnesota, and I'm going to find a constitutional sheriff in our county. And I know he's there. I know him well, and I know he's gonna get behind us. And just last of all, just a week ago, now we come from obviously Minnesota, very democratic state. Just a week ago, I look on Facebook and someone says, we're trying to start Minnesota area, Arrowhead or area conservative voices. Never in my life did I ever think I'd see this. I couldn't get there quick enough, and we've started it, and the ball is rolling. And I just keep going with, stay calm and pray, the battle's already won.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. What is your name, ma'am?
Joanne Johnson.
Thank you, Joanne. Anybody else have, that was a powerful thing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Joanne. You see, that's what I'm talking about when I say I want to surface the wisdom of the group, because I know it's out here. I know you guys are smart and that you're here for a reason. Who else has something you'd like to state or ask? Thank you. You can when you wish, yes.
I'm sorry.
Whoa, please do.
I just have felt in my spirit that God's wanting me to read this, and it's 2 Timothy 1:7. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Amen.
Thank you. And your name, please?
Judy.
Thank you, Judy. God bless you, Judy. Anybody else? Thank you so much. Well, how about we get Trent to talk to us again for a minute? You got anything?
No, I'm plumb out. Thank you, Bob.
You got somebody else to talk?
Well, there's a reason that we're here, and his name is Robert David Steele. I don't think he needs any introduction. He's right over there. He's going to grab that pig and make his way across and grab the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert David Steele. All right. Well, this be the pig. This is your government. We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes in my life. Others around me have made mistakes. The biggest mistake is to have an ego, and to think you're more important than everybody else. I think what this tour is doing is it's bringing us all into conversation. And it's bringing us into conversation at a face-to-face level. This is not Instagram. This is not Facebook. This is not one-way YouTube videos. This isn't even a telephone conversation, although there's some people I know, including me, that would do well to learn how to do telephone conversations instead of texts. I'm a send and forget, get on with it kind of guy. At the end of the day, we're all coming face to face with each other and our Maker. And I can't tell you how good I feel about how all of this is going. Trent's called me naive, which I think is the wrong word. Others have called me crazy, which I think is the wrong word. I think of myself as a servant. And although I've spent a lifetime thinking and writing and understanding not just the Constitution, but what's wrong with our government, what's wrong with us. What's wrong with us is, as Kevin Jenkins said earlier, we've given up our humanity. We're not human anymore. We're just going along, even the people that are awake. I mean, I hope everybody's read Martin Geddes' book, Open Mind Change, which I wrote a foreword to. We've allowed the system to dumb us down and drug us up. And this is a horrible, horrible thing, particularly when you look at all the children today that are being dumbed down, drugged up, masked, isolated. I hope at the end we get Kevin Jenkins and he gets everybody to hug again. I'm sure some of you are coming just for the hugging. This is an acquired taste among some of us. But I am absolutely 1,000% confident that America's back on track. And in crossing the heartland, which I could never have done without Trent Luce knowing where to go and who to invite, I have been reinforced. I mean, you want to talk about armor of God, how about armor of heartland? I am now strengthened by all of you. And I think I'm going to stop on that note. You want to see the old stump speech, you can watch the video. God bless all of you. I'm honored to be in your company. Thank you. Robert, you forgot to ask if there are any questions. Robert David Steele, everyone. Joe Altman, you got anything to say? From Denver, Colorado. This guy's been there, done it. I don't have anything else to say about this guy, but he's my friend.
Thanks, brother. I don't want to wear my jacket anymore, so I am wearing my gun. But I think I'm in the right place for that. Was everyone here this morning? Who wasn't? Oh boy. Yeah. All right, so my name is Joe Altman. I was a tech CEO For those of you that don't know, I'm the one that uncovered Dominion voting systems, and was on that call with Antifa with the Director of Strategy and Security, Eric Coomer. So I'm also the one that got sued first. That was fun. And everyone always asks me when they meet me, they go, how's the lawsuit going? And I'm like, it's going fine. And I laugh because truth is a great equalizer, or at least it was. And as what we've seen in the November election, as what we've seen of late, our entire government has been infiltrated. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about kind of this journey and how it started. I got a chance to actually talk a little bit about it. I don't think I've actually talked about how I got involved. So I've been running companies. I've been a successful business guy. I've been blessed beyond all that I've, certainly more than I deserve. And so I paid attention to politics on the surface. I would give people money. They'd call me and said, hey, Joe, can you help me? And I'm like, sure, here's some money. I spent most of my time in philanthropy giving away to kids in disadvantaged environments. Just a little bit about me. My dad's black, my mom's white, my whole family's interracial. I grew up dirt poor in Washington, D.C. My kid brother 3.5 years ago was murdered by a police officer. And they lied about it, yet I still back the blue. So I've got a little bit of a weird life's history. Married, have 2 kids. Both my kids are exceptional. My daughter is right over here. She decided to come with me. I think speaking one time in a day is pretty difficult because, and I said this before, and I don't want to be people take offense by it, but I don't really like people, and it's not that I don't like people, I'm just an introvert. And so I got to recharge. So I haven't had a chance to recharge between speaking. So I'm going to repeat some of the same things I said this morning. But when I woke up was when I saw they took the Constitution, threw it in the trash. It was in March of last year. And they said that basically that Walmart and Target and those businesses, well, the virus doesn't exist there. It only exists in your businesses. And they started to dictate what is essential, what isn't essential within our environment, and said that all the investment that people put into it was, that it was expendable. So I started actually looking back. Somebody said, how did you get involved? And I got involved in March of last year in really waking up to the reality, because I was somewhat immune to it. I mean, and I'm just going to say this, and it's going to sound bad, but it's the way it is. The more financially blessed you are, as you start helping other people, you're still immune to seeing those problems that people deal with on a daily basis. You are. You care, but you don't really live in the trenches of those problems. And so a friend of mine called me when the stock market dropped by 1,000 points in March, and he's like, Joe, the bank just cut off my line of credit. And I've known him 22 years. And I was like, hey, listen, it's a knee-jerk reaction, just relax. Well, the next day he committed suicide. That Friday they turned back on his line of credit. So, that was kind of a wake-up call for me that we just don't matter. And I just started thinking about what we deal with every single day. That they say that they care about us if they enact laws and they enact things within our communities, which just sucks the life out of us. I started looking statistically at the fact that over the last 5 years, the average mother and father of a family has to work 9 extra hours a week in order to put food on the table. 9 extra hours a week. And then we start looking at the outcome over the last year, 18 months, of critical race theory, gender fluidity, teaching kids in 2nd and 3rd grade to be gay. They're recruiting kids. They're grooming kids. I'm not anti-gay. You do you, boo. You grow up and you decide that's for you. That's for you and God. But to recruit children to normalize behavior, to create in a place where they don't know right or wrong, and they don't know the natural the natural way of life. And you say, come on, Joe, you're not tolerant. We are the parents. We are the parents. Why is it that we have to go to work for an extra 9 hours so that a school can raise our children? Common sense is something we've abandoned. You'd say we live in a bizarro world. We've allowed this to happen. So we are here right now because of us. We send our kids to school, and last Monday, and I know I'm going to go over, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go over. Trent, you stay right there in that seat. I'm watching you. Last Monday, I'm going to share a story with you that, I do this podcast, and now I'm deeply involved in it, and they should never have told me, they should never come after me because I'm like a dog with a bone, so I attack Dominion. I know more about Dominion than Dominion does, right? So, and we're going to get rid of Dominion, don't worry. By 2022, they'll be gone. And I'm going to tell you this story. It has nothing to do with the election fraud. It has nothing to do, it has to do with the power of your voice. It has to do with what they're doing to our children. And this morning I said it to you. I said, listen, you don't realize what they're taking from you. You don't realize that they're not actually attacking you. They're attacking our children. See, you don't matter. They've given up on you. They already said you can't be reprogrammed, but they can come after our children. So a young lady that I've known since she was 3 years old called me, and in 10th grade, she calls me Uncle Joe. And a lot of my friends, their kids call me Uncle Joe. I'm the fun uncle. I have fast cars, take them for rides. I'm like a big kid. But she called me and said, Uncle Joe, I need to talk to you. Can we meet? And I was like, yeah, what's going on? She goes, well, I want to tell you about my journey of who I am. And I did a podcast on this literally a couple hours afterwards. And I said, okay, well, talk to me. And she came out in 10th grade as bisexual. And I would always hug her, and I'm like, it's okay, kid. I have no idea what that means. But just gave her a hug, loved on her, accepted her where she was, not where I wanted her to be. Right? Her parents were devastated, and I was like, just relax. It'll be okay. You've taught her well. It'll be okay. She goes, well, I just want you to know that I've been watching you. And the courage you have has given me the courage to realize who I am. And so she said, I was with my friends, and they started talking about you. And they're like, yeah, this guy's a bigot. He's a homophobe. She's like, it's the first time that I've ever felt the courage that I could stand up. And she goes, that's my Uncle Joe. He's none of those things. And they were shocked. And she goes, yeah, he's not like that. You have no idea who you're talking about. That guy cares about people he'll never meet. She said, but Uncle Joe, I'm not bisexual. In high school, I came out as bisexual because of the pressure that I felt, not just from the kids, but from the teachers. That the teachers would treat those that were bisexual or the trend of being gay or lesbian or queer, they would treat them better. She goes, so I felt like in order to belong, in order to be accepted, I had to come out as bisexual. At least I thought it gave me a choice. Then something happened where she thought that they would find out that she was being a fraud or she was being fake. So she had to enter into a relationship with a young lady. Think about that. So she's like, I entered into my first relationship with a woman in 11th grade. And then it just snowballed from there. And then another relationship. Then I went through college, and I had another relationship. But I couldn't be bisexual, which means you're attracted to both, and really date a guy, because then they'd say that I was fake or a fraud. They pressured her at every part of the school system. They indoctrinated her. They oppressed her. Not accepted her. They recruited her. So she went through college miserable. living a life, not understanding where the pain was in her own life, so that she could be accepted as she went through college. She kept the relationship going. She was in a relationship for 3 years. They lived in a house together. They had talked about getting married. But it was that day that she said that somebody called me a bigot, called me a homophobe, that she said, I can't do this anymore. And the realization came to her that the only fraud or fake that she was doing is she was living a lie in order to be accepted in society. So she looked at her girlfriend that they'd been dating for 3 years and she goes, I'm moving out. And by the way, I'm not bisexual. How about that? The story crushed my soul. The conversation crushed my soul. That day, I got on Conservative Daily Podcast, which is the podcast that I do. I'm kind of a jerk on that podcast, so if you do follow me, I speak truth. You might not like it. But I couldn't compose myself. I had to get off, and I'm not a real emotional person, but I had to get off, because if you would have told me in 10th grade that they were doing this to my niece, I would have kicked their teeth in. I would have gone to that school and dragged that teacher outside. Because she's had to live the last 8, 9 years because of pressure, peer pressure, in an environment she never wanted. And nobody said anything. There had to be a good teacher there, or 2 or 3. But those teachers are afraid to lose their jobs. We are afraid to lose our jobs. Police say, I'm just doing my job. Or I'm just doing what I've been told. It's not enough to say that you stand for something if you don't speak. I often say that courage is more infectious than fear. And I stand up, and it's cost me a lot. They've tried to kill me, sent me powder, terrorized my wife, terrorized my kids. I've had to hire personal security detail for my children. I carry a gun. I have thermal cameras at my house. I can't drive from one place to the other without looking in my rearview mirror. I will never in my life be able to live my life without having to look behind me. And yet, I'll take it. And I'll take it not because I want it. I don't want to be a martyr. I don't. But the same thing that you face in critical race theory, which is garbage. My whole family thinks it's trash. Kevin will tell you it's trash. And the same thing that you face with gender fluidity, and the same thing you face with giving a whole month to this propaganda of pride, and the same thing that we face as they shove this stuff down our throat, is that we as people have not learned the power of the word no.
No. Right.
Take the vaccine. No.
No.
Send your kids to public school. Don't ask any questions, and we will train those kids. No, you won't. We have not learned that the things that they tell us that make us extremists make us American. The rhetoric of going out there and talking about the fact that the flag somehow is offensive, we should be offended. Yet we're like, they are stupid. But we don't stand up and speak because we're afraid of the sacrifice that it may lead to. We're afraid of being doxxed. We're afraid of them trying to shoot at us. They're already shooting at us, only they're not aiming at us, they're aiming at our children.
I'm too old to be afraid anymore.
Look, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm not trying to sit here and indict your character. Character is the thing that God judges you by. Reputation is the thing that man screws up. I read some stuff about myself on the internet. I was really amused. I'm going to tell you that we are winning right now. We're winning. But the only way we truly win is if we stand together. The only way we truly win is if we forgive each other for those small indiscretions. I'm more conservative than you. Well, I'm more Christian than you. Well, I I have bigger shoes than you do. It goes on. The type of things, the petty differences that we actually let divide us is unbelievable. We let them tell us that we're racist. We let them tell us that we're homophobic. We let that actually mean something to us because we have guilt. Because we have a guilty conscience. We feel like, hey, I'm not that. Am I that? I'm not that. Instead of ignoring it as a way of they try to control us. So I'm going to challenge all of you. Number one, God is at the wheel. He 100% is in this. But praying is not the only way we're going to get this done. I've told people I'm not convinced that we will actually take our country back without violence. It does not mean that I want violence. It just means that there's an unequal application of law. They come out and say to you that you have to be a law-abiding citizen. We're the party of law and order. Well, they loot, burn, steal, and do everything else, and they write laws to let it happen. At what point they unequally apply the law, we're in a state of lawlessness. That means when the police say they're just doing their job by not arresting someone, or the police are just doing their job but they're not going to protect your community, guess what your job is? We are Americans. This is our country. When the border is not secured and they're allowing women and children to come across so they can fill their coffers and sexual appetite, because these people are pedophiles, rapists, and closet racists. That's what they are. I'm not afraid to use those words, and you shouldn't either. But when that happens, who should the burden of protecting our society fall? Regardless of the consequences. So own it. It does not matter what happens to you in this life. You got 75, 80 years. No one is going to make it out of this world alive. Sorry to break it to you. I'm not calling for violence. I'm calling for you to take a stand together. That's it. And call spade a spade. Call wrong wrong. Hold people accountable. And at what point we can't do that, we've already lost this country. Just stop standing, stay in your seat. I don't want to hear another word about it, because you're the one that caused the country to go awry. I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand on the hill. I may be the first one shot. I may be the 30th one shot. They may take me out. They may not take me out. I just don't care. But I tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to sit back and watch my kids, grandkids, and future generations suffer because I lacked courage. Last thing, Galatians 4:16 says, have I become the enemy because I tell you the truth? I'm going to tell you, it's difficult for me to stand up here. I don't want to be here. I don't need money. I don't really like people. I like you people. And I say that because it's hard for me to be an introvert and stand up here. So I'm doing something hard. I'm doing something really hard. Will you do something hard too? Will you commit to do something to save this nation? That's what I'm calling you to do. And I think that's what the Arise Tour is about. It's about rising up that courage inside of you so that you recognize that we can take this country back if we'll just stand up. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Joe Altman, folks. I think he did a little breathing in God, exhaling fear. That's what I think. I just want to expand upon that a minute because I heard that message loud and clear from Joe, that we spend a lot of time...
You won't interrupt us.
Spend a lot of time... Where was I going to go with that, Bob? We spend a lot of time talking about what happens in the White House. And I'm not minimizing the President of the United States. And I'm with Joe, we got to fix the elections. But what's happening in your local school district is planting these seeds in our kids that are going to be long-term. And I got to give kudos to my wife, who's just gotten very active in our local school board and we find out at the local school board they get all of this indoctrination from the State Association of School Boards, and I'm going to be proud to tell you that I've got the best governor in the nation, even though I have all the respect in the world for Kristi Noem. But Governor Pete Ricketts this week is going to town hall meeting after town hall meeting trying to get people fired up to take back the state school board, because in Nebraska the state school board is not under the governor. It's separate from the governor. And we're wanting to teach kids in the first grade all the things Joe was just talking about. So I say that just so that we can remember that at the end of the day, don't stay focused on all of the national things and forget about what's happening in the school. Because if we lose our kids to the brainwashing, what are we fighting for? So thank you, Joe, for that. Charlotte, you want to sing?
Yeah, I think we need it.
Charlotte Rose thinks we need a song. I'm not going to argue with that.
Will you hold my gum? I love Trent Loose, and I love all the men on this tour. And I've said this a lot, but I haven't said it to this audience, but these are men who left their nets when they heard Come Follow Me. And now you're here, and that matters. So the other day I called Trent and I said, well, I wrote a song on the bus. And I said, we kind of need to have a jam. We kind of need to get together because there's a few musicians on our tour. So this is really informal. But, Joe, I just want you to know your speech is kind of what got me riled up here and gave me the courage to tell Trent we need a song. So are there any drummers in the audience? Any drummers? There's got to be one drummer. Well, you can all clap, right? Okay. And you've got a harmonica.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to test drive this song on you, and you can tell me what you think. But it's called Coming Back America. All right? So you got to imagine the sound of steel on steel. When they built this nation, steel hammer on a railroad tie. Okay? Just imagine that. And that's your rhythm. Now, I have to read, because there's a lot of words and I can't remember it. But I need your help. You got to be the audience. All right, here we go. I've been on the edge, near tumbling down. Feel like... Oh, okay, wait a minute, sorry. I can't read it. Start again, here we go. Been on the edge, near tumbling down. Feel like I wanna scream when no one's around. Been down and out, but never been so poor. Something's gotta change, can't take no more. So we ain't taking that, we ain't sitting back, we're gonna let you hear our voice. If you attack, we're gonna give it back when we believe there ain't no choice. We ain't taking that, we ain't laying back when there's work that needs to be done. We'll be fighting back, cause we're back on track, cause there's a battle to be won. Been struggling hard, been struggling bad. Worried about my kids, about mom and dad. Since 29, it's never been so tough, but it's gonna change, 'cause we've had enough. So we ain't taking that, we ain't kicking back, we're gonna let you hear our voice. If you attack, I'm gonna give it back when I believe there ain't no choice. I ain't kicking back, I ain't laying back when there's work that needs to be done. I'll be fighting back till we're back on track, 'cause there's a battle to be won. No excuses, no more blame, no more defiling our country's name. Yeah, we're fighting back 'cause we're coming back, 'cause there's a battle to be won. In the name of the Father and the Son.
You want me to do that? Go ahead. You got something? Okay. Charlotte?
I always got something.
Okay. Oh, I feel so blessed to be with y'all tonight. Thank you very much. You know, whatever course of human events led us together here tonight in this way, something unique, something of God, something blessed has happened here. I'm grateful to be with you, grateful to be a part of this. I call to God to bless each and every one of you. Yes. I would like to offer something now for all that would like to do it. It seems to me that the most important thing we can do is work with our Constitution of the United States of America to work toward constitutional sheriffs and constitutional counties, to turn it back the way it ought to be with the people on top of the decisions. And that's at a local level, and the Constitution provides that for us if we choose to exercise it. How many of you have already, in service or otherwise, sworn an oath to the Constitution of the United States? Would you thank you. Thank you. And how many of you have not yet sworn an oath to the Constitution of the United States? Thank you. What I'd like to invite you to do, because believe me, we do not need any government officials to officiate a swearing of the Constitution. We, the people, can swear that by choice between ourselves and our Heavenly Father. And so I'd like to offer that for all of us who would like to do that now. If you'd like to swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States with me now, would you please stand up? Thank you. And if you'd like to swear, and even if you've done it before, this is something you could do daily. If you would like to swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States now, will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? First we'll say I, and then your name. I, Bob Jackson Minor, do solemnly swear to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help me God. Thank you. Please turn to anyone. Thank you. Turn to anyone and tell them, I witness your oath and I stand with you. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless America.
I gotta say, it sure is handy to have an Abe Lincoln around, I'll tell you what. That's just what I didn't think about that before I left home, but now I see where it's how handy it is. You know, I think so many times we travel and we bring people that have been there, done that, and we always get the question, but how do I take this to the next level at home? And so earlier today I had the opportunity to meet Cindy, and this didn't work her into the schedule, and I think I didn't work her into the schedule because she's supposed to be here tonight to share this with you. Comes to us from Yankton, South Dakota, and it's going to give you a real tool, the tools to take home, not just to hear speaker, but say, hey, here's what we did in Yankton County to make a difference. Konoplasik, how'd I do? Did I do okay?
Very good.
Cindy, thank you very much. Red, white, and awesome.
That's right. Yes, thank you.
Hold it up pretty close to me.
All right, got it. Hello there, everybody. Yes, I was Julie Fry Mueller spoke this morning. She's one of the local legislators. I'm from Yankton, South Dakota, and we had a rally on last Saturday at Pier, and so our goal was to bring as many people together from around South Dakota, and a lot of the people that showed up were from the Rapid City area, and you know, the website and the group that we have started is called Stand Up for Liberty. www.standupforliberty.com. And you know, we didn't get the turnout that we wanted, but the fact is, it's just like this tour that's happening. You know, you start and you do something. And so she wanted me to talk this morning, and you know, it didn't work out. The schedule was packed, but as Trent says, this is how it works out, and it works out how it's supposed to work out, and who's supposed to show up is who's supposed to show up. So I just want to share a little bit about myself. I'm a nurse, and it's interesting, I was working in Denver from 2012 to 2017, so I got to experience a little bit about Denver from the illness care industry, as I call it. And so I'm from Yankton, and last year when we started dealing with a lot of these mandates and things that were, you know, didn't quite fit in with the way I saw that things should be, you know, I should be standing up for my rights, and it's not working. Nobody wants to listen to my rights. And I'm like, I'm not sick. I shouldn't have to be wearing a mask. I'm a nurse. I know when we are supposed to wear masks and when the science says we're not supposed to wear a mask. And so we found ourselves coming together, myself and a couple other friends, and we said, you know what, we got to do something. What are we going to do? So you know what we did? We came together on a Sunday night, the three of us, and we said, hey, what are we going to do? And we had been following Peggy Hall. Anybody out here ever heard of Peggy Hall from California? Yes, thehealthyamerican.org. And we're like, okay, we're going to get on a phone call with her, and she's going to help us out because we're going to the school board, and we're going to the city commission, and there's not enough of us, but we're starting somewhere. And so, okay, we're going to put on our website, you got to know your rights. And then we thought, well, what else? Well, we want to understand the founding documents. So we're going to start reading the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. We're going to read the Federalist Papers, as overwhelming as that seems. And then the third thing, the other gal said, well, you know, we got to know where our local sheriff is. We got to make sure we've got a constitutional sheriff. And so that was just our brainstorming session. Not too bad, right? So the one friend, she knows how to do web design, so she started a website. And it's like a home base. And it's just what we're doing. Doesn't mean what everybody else has to do. And then after that, it's like, okay, now we've got a city commission, we've got 3 openings, we need some candidates. And guess what? 3 people rose up and said, you know what? We're going to start standing up there for our rights, and we're going to speak it out. Did they win? No. But did we learn a lot, and are we ready to come back next time? And now we've come together, that's right. And those people shared the truth, and they weren't afraid to talk about liberty, to talk about our Constitution, to talk about our rights. And that was a little foreign for some people, because some people were like, well, you know, like Joss had said, you know, they're not used to people saying no, no, no. These are our rights. I know our rights. And so we started doing that. And then the next thing we started doing is we started handing out some flyers, doing leaflet drops for COVID-19. And Paul Dorr was an individual from Iowa. O'Cheaton had presented this and had it dropped on 10,000 addresses in Yankton. And that caused quite a stir. So we just followed up on that. So what we're doing is we're kind of just agitating over here with a little truth, agitating over here with a little truth. And, you know, it's like, who are these people? Well, we're out there. We're standing up for liberty, and people are starting to come. So we started with 3, and now we have meetings with 20 people pretty consistently. And, yeah, would I like it to be more? You better believe it. Is it going to be more? You better believe it. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about, so I just want to say, how many of you know who your city commissioners are? Great. How many of you know who your county commissioners are? How many of you know who your county zoning and planning commission are? Your school board. Guess what? I didn't know who they were either. Do I know who they are now? You better believe it. Now we have somebody in our group that attends the school board. We have somebody that attends the city commission. We have somebody that's going to the county meetings. And so every week when we meet, we have an update. Hey, what's going on in here? What do we need to be emailing? What do we need to do to be getting ourselves informed? And yeah, it hasn't happened overnight, and we need to be more informed, and we need to get people on those committees, and we will. So I just say, I want to leave with this and just say, you know, like Trent had said, we are focusing on the national level, but at the end of the day, it's what are we doing at home? What are we doing on our home turf? And it's a little more difficult because people are like, oh, now they know how I feel, my neighbors. And so then it becomes a little bit more, you got to have a little bit of a spine, and then you got to draw back on your knowledge base from those rights that you've learned that are supported by the Constitution, your inalienable rights, and we are counting on having a sheriff that will back us up, and we got some work to do on that. And I also joined the Constitutional Sheriff's Peace Officer Association, and so we're just trying to hit it from every different angle. So anyway, thanks for that opportunity, and go to standupforliberty.com, and you can reach out to me, and if I don't know where everybody's from here, but hey, I just want to be an example of what can you do in your local community. Join one of our meetings. I do a conference call. You can jump in. I video it, I do audio, and I send it out, and I just want people to do whatever version of whatever they need to do in their own community. And then we start networking. My goal is to get a contact person with as many communities throughout the whole South Dakota, and we start coming together, and we're connected. We need something, we come together. Because it's happening, I don't want to say the other side, but there is an organized coup out there. And so we have to get organized, and it's not a bad thing. We got to be vigilant moving forward. Vigilant. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Cindy. And by the way, this week on Friday night, July 9th, we will be in Yankton County, South Dakota. Cindy didn't even know that until after I went over there and talked to her. So I was chuckling a bit because she was talking about we're going to agitate with the truth, we're going to agitate with the truth. That's exactly how we clean our manure pits. We go in there and we break up a little bit of shit here and a little bit of shit there, and that's what it's going to take to fix these politicians. Let me tell you, Cindy, you got it figured out right there. Agitate with the truth. Speaking of agitating, if he hasn't agitated you enough, he's agitated me enough for the whole tribe. Let me tell you what. You got anything to share tonight, Kevin Jenkins? Anybody want to hear from Kevin Jenkins? It's a representative republic, and the people win. Kevin Jenkins, the Urban Health Alliance.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to listen. But I got to tell you, Charlotte, the song Charlotte was reminding me of when I was a kid. I was born in 1963, right in the middle of a storm, the civil rights movement, and I watched all that stuff on TV. But the thing that really moved me, that was a real freedom song. And I was looking at the bus, and I was like, it went over my head. I said, I remember when I was a kid, I should turn on my TV and watch all the young kids in college get on the buses, and they would go to the counters, and they would fight, and it was tumultuous time, it was scary time, but they all got on the buses, and they sung those songs that they got in church. I'm telling you, that's something. At my age, I'm on a bus going across America talking about freedom. Can you believe it? In 2021, I'm old. But I got to tell you, just think about that for half of a second. In 1963, you turn on your TV, and this country was going through a great change. And we thought we got through it. We did. I did, anyway. But we didn't. Because we got kind of comfortable a little bit. But that song reminded me of my grandmother. My grandmother had a very unusual voice in church. I didn't like it. But she always got up every Sunday, and she went into that church, and she led her choir. And I'm like, this woman is really something. Every day she started clapping her hands, and she started praising God, and she was incredible that way. But I never knew that was the person that directly was responsible for my personal relationship with God. Was really, she had to convince me to get baptized twice. That was pretty interesting. But she knew, because of her prayers, and she knew that there was going to be a time that she was not going to be here. And she wanted me to do something. I just didn't know what. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't even know why the hell I'm here. Because I'm still shocked at the fact that I was sitting at my dining room table a year and a half ago. It's a long story behind it. But I actually checked out. I didn't want to do anything. I had no idea what I wanted to do because I believed that all the things that I did that I thought was phenomenal was absolutely nothing. I did nothing. Selfish to the bone. And one day, in the middle of the night, I got up and I just cried all night. I just couldn't stop crying. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I asked God to expand my territory. I didn't ask for this. But you know what? God has a very interesting sense of humor. Very interesting. And you know, when I started on my journey, it was one thing that happened. It's really interesting how I got into the medical freedom discussion and how I started to understand what was happening to these women and their children and how the government had abandoned them and how the government didn't care about them and how the government didn't care that they were saying something was wrong with their children. I just couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand that an elected official would walk past a group of parents that called themselves medical refugees. That means they have to leave everywhere they live because the government said that their kids' bodies were owned by them, owned by Big Pharma. I couldn't fathom it. I thought that I actually did enough to give me cover for God. No, I got to tell you, I was shocked. So this one day I'm in Virginia and speaking to the legislators that lied through the whole thing. I knew they were lying about religious exemption, about medical exemptions, protecting children from the evil institution that we call Big Pharma. And it was about maybe 150 people in the corridor with their strollers, with their T-shirts on, and I stood in the middle. I got this suit on. I'm like, okay, I'm going to help these young ladies. I think the point that changed me is when the door opened in the health committee, they walked past those people like they were animals. They didn't even speak to them. They said, who are you? You're nobody. That stunned me. I was like, they didn't even talk. They said, you're just a waste of time. You're a problem. And then they said, oh, you're some white women that ain't got enough to do. We don't care if your kids are sick. We don't care if you have autism. We don't care if you have chronic illness. We don't care about you. You anti what we want. And we want to call you anti that, anti this. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you kidding me? And then that was it for me. That was one of the most defining moments for me. I said, oh, no, I'm going to fight for these people. Now, when I started this fight, I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? So we created an institution called Urban Global Health Alliance, and I haven't been home since. I've been in every city in maybe 23 cities before I even started on this tour, because I am determined before I die to set the record straight. I mean it. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I am serious about this. I am serious. I will not allow this to happen again. They walk past them like they were garbage. And then I started having conversations around the country with other people. And then I kept saying to myself, I felt really bad. I said, how did I miss this? How did I not pay attention to this? How could I have not figured this out? But it just wasn't my time. It just wasn't. But this is my time. This is our time. This is our anointed time. It's not for everybody else. I don't care. It's not for everybody else. It's for us. That's why we're here. That's why we're all here. It's not about them. It's about we're here because God opened up our minds, opened up our hearts to do what? To seek his face and then do something about the things that are happening in our life and are happening in our community. That's what God said. God said it's time to stand up. This is our test. This is our desert moment. This is our Calvary moment. This is it. And I got to tell you, I have struggled with this to the point that sometimes I just get frantic about the fact that we have allowed these people to do this to us. allowed it. We have allowed it. And I'm so afraid for those kids. But see, I don't live in fear because, see, those kids right over there playing, see, I like to hear that. When I hear a kid playing, I get happy now. Can you believe it? I'm like, kids are playing. Oh, my God. That's what children are supposed to be doing. Not locked in the house, not living in fear, not masked up, not being commoditized by Big Pharma, not being poisoned and killed, not being chronically ill. We know the stories. We got them in our family, do we not? We know it. Our next door neighbor, our member in church, we didn't say anything about it. Well, that's just their problem. Well, you know, I don't want to get involved. But we know how they got here. So this year is an all-out assault against humanity now. All-out assault. All-out assault against all of us. Not me because I'm black, not you because you're white. All of us. Every single one of us. Now you understand, you know, so when people say white supremacy, I bust out laughing because half of white people, when they say, I told my I know white supremacy, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Stop buying that. They're creating a system, a structure to control humanity and wipe us out. That's what they're doing. Y'all get all personal and get all scared. No. You should be able to talk about this, look straight in the eye, and say, listen, there is an all-out assault against us, and we have to work together. See, because I got a new tribe now. See, going through Heartland, so I got to tell you something. You got to know, when I got on that bus, I'm going to call it the Freedom Bus now. Hey, listen, David and I got on the bus. I didn't even know I was going to like David. Now I love him. We had an argument today. That's a good man over there. That man over there, raise your hand, David. Robert, raise your hand, Robert. Hey, see, that's what I say. But that is what this is about. Robert is a good man. He took the risk. He put them freedom buses on the road, and he brought us all together. Let's get that young man a round of applause. Now, we're going to be arguing tonight, so I'm getting you all ready. But, you know, God is, every time I look to the sun and I look at these mountains, I'm always taking pictures of the sun ascending and descending. It's like God has given me a signal. Do your job, son. Stand up for America, son. Move past your fears, son. Love your family, son. I have a beautiful wife. She's going to kill me when I get home, Trent. I'm telling you right now, Trent, moving in your basement. Because when I packed my bags, I knew that I had a job to do. You know? I knew it. And guess what? She's been allowing me to do this because we believe in our family that community is first. Family is first. See? First and first. You ain't not work first and second. All of it's first. And that oath that my Abe Lincoln did today, we should relive that every day. We should be doing that every day. We should be calling all our friends on the phone right now to say, I'll make a pledge. The pledge to love God, to find hope, to find love, and find God courage. That's the extension of that oath. So that's my freedom bus. Charlotte's song is going to be my freedom song. You better tape that quick. Because that was phenomenal. We have to dig a little deeper. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Dig a little deeper. Get past your petty differences. Get past your insecurities. We're all insecure. We all walk around all angry all the time. We got a lot to be happy about. We could change the world today. Right now. Amen. We could change the world right now. Together. But that's why we should be happy. That when that child gets older, those kids over there are going to know they fought for us. They stood up for us. That's why we're still free. That's why we can still look at the sun. That's why we can look at all of the beauty that's around us in this country, because this is truly God's country. I'm never leaving this country for a long time. I'm going to continue to keep trying. This experience has been overwhelming to me. And when I get off the stage sometime and some woman will come up and she's crying, I was like, I don't know how to handle it, because when I leave you, I go through emotional stuff. I have to hold myself together because I know what they have planned for us. And I don't have a lot of time. I don't. I don't have a lot of time. So I'm telling you, it is absolutely important that nurse that was speaking, that we find solutions. Because this bus tour is a solution. What we're saying to you is to ignite something in you to come up with solutions. It's very important. People died for us. People sacrificed for us. There should be no hungry children. There should be no broken families. You know why all that stuff is happening? Because we forgot our true faith. That's why when Robert talked about faith and family and freedom, it didn't resonate first. That's not a marketing tool. That's a plan. That's a strategy. That's where our values come from. That's where our morals come from. So you have to see God's face. You have to find God's courage. Nobody can give that to you. No one. I'm sorry. I grew up going to church. I pray. I understand that. I understand the power of prayer and forgiveness, love. But I understand God gave me something else. He gave me the ability to fight back against tyranny. Tyranny. Because what's in front of us now, what has been in back of us, what's been on the side of us, it's been tyranny every day. And we still go home, we drink our coffee, we get up in the morning, and your friend will call you and say, you see what they're getting ready to do to us? They're going to stop us from flying. You see what they're going to do to us? They're going to make it mandatory. You see what they're going to do to us? The corporations are going to make... That's not how we're supposed to be talking. That is slave talk. Are you slaves? No. Now, that's the first time I got a real... Okay. Are you slaves? No. All right, because I know I'm not a slave. Okay, I ain't never going to be a slave. And my children aren't going to ever be a slave. Right? So there's a big discussion going on in this country right now because, you know, y'all been hearing about it. Every time something bad happened in one of those cities that I live in, they say, well, you know, white people killing black people. Yes, I'm so sick of it. It is an absolute con job. It is a con job. Turn off the TV. Turn it off. Please. Don't allow your kids to watch it. When Joe got up here and talked about critical race theory, we always laugh because I don't know what the hell it is. I'm still trying to figure it out, Joe. Because that's how much they value us. They think we are just absolutely stupid people. They think we are the most ridiculous people on planet Earth. We can tell these people anything. And now you allow your kids to come in the house and tell you anything. Well, it didn't happen in my house. So let me tell you something. This is our time. We got to snatch our kids. We got to find our true faith. We got to find out and understand what true freedom is. And when they mashed you up and told you you couldn't go out your house, now they're telling you if you're vaccinated, unvaccinated, that is racist. That's discrimination. That is immoral. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong? Now that's racist, right? So I went into the store one day hungry. I didn't know where I was going. The signs was up there. I walked in the store. I said, I got to get something to eat. The lady walks up to me. She said, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Are you vaccinated, unvaccinated? That's some black. Where I sit? I gotta tell that story. I'm getting better at it. But the lady said, oh no, you can sit anywhere because you know black is in right now. I'm telling you right now. And it's the craziest thing now. I can do anything right now, and they'll be like, well, you gotta leave him to go. That's racist if you say something to Kevin. No, it's not. Wrong is wrong, right is right. That's what it's about. Wrong is wrong, right is right. I I go to that. I run. I perform a sports. I go and they put the American flag up on the national anthem. I can turn my back now. Nobody gonna kick me out of the country now. Think about that. They're saying that you don't matter. They're going to censor you. God's been censored. Constitution's been censored. The Bill of Rights have been censored. The church has been censored. You are now criminals because you care about the country and you care about the flag. Can you believe it? Wow. I ain't never think I was going to see that. So when you talk about God, censor. You talk about Constitution, censor. If they're hugging each other, they're terrorists. They're whispering in each other's ear. They're going to blow firecrackers over there. You kind of know this is crazy. I take pictures of white people. They say, "Why are you taking pictures of white people?" I said, "They're humans and I love them." What? Can you believe people talk like that? And I keep putting them pictures up there too. I was like, yeah, that's my family too. Because that's what God taught us. That's what Jesus taught us. That's what Martin Luther King taught us. He said we're one big mosaic. We're one big family. We have to bridge the gap. We have to build our own new ark. So I'm not sitting around watching them tear my life apart, tear my people apart. I'm going to create. I'm going to build my own stores where my people, all of us can go and purchase. I'm not going into a store that says, "Oh, you're vaccinated, unvaccinated." But you know why? We're slaves. That's why we do it. You're still slaves. I just got to go get the bread. Well, go and build another store and sell your own bread. Well, I can't travel. Build your own airlines. That's why we build Freedom Travel Alliance. I will not be deterred. I will not be told what to do. Oh, I can't get on your plane, but we're building a company to do what? Fly out of here. You tell me that I can't live somewhere. Well, guess what? I'm going to go build my own house someplace else and be with people that are like me. Oh, not color, but consciousness. It's a war between the conscious and unconscious. Do you understand? There's a war between the conscious and unconscious. Open up your mind. Raise your frequency. Stop being so lazy. Stop being so gullible. And your next door neighbor, you lost him as a friend. Never was a friend anyway. You got a new friend here. You see what I'm saying? You got a new friend here. You got a new friend here. Stop worrying about the friends you lost because they weren't your friends anyway. Because anybody believes that you should put a experimental biologic in your body and say to you, well, you're making me sick because you don't want to die, leave them alone. Now, they have the right to do what they want to do with their body, but I ain't doing it. Now, God bless you. Now, I've been experimenting on enough. So they want to commoditize your body, profit off your body. Now take your children away from you. Now train your kids to hate you. Do you understand that? They're training you, but we allowed it to happen. We are to blame. My father told me, "Don't come up here making excuses because you're going to die." Because it's your fault. Not the guy on the street's fault. It's your fault. You got to live with the consequences. And what we're doing now is living with the consequences because we turned a blind eye to all the ugly things that was happening in the world. We did it. Always got to make you feel a little uncomfortable. But here it is. My dream is that we find hope, that we all find hope in each other. We find love. We start to find love in a way that God told us to do. Love each other as human beings. Love our children. Love, 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 love. Love is powerful. Now, when I was young, I was like, love, what? We gotta kill. We gotta kill. But I get the power of love because the power of love will do something unique to you. It will give you the God courage to take action. Love doesn't mean to be passive. Y'all got it all wrong. Y'all got these words all wrong. Love means you will find your God courage to fight back. We ain't got a lot of time. They're going to try to shut the country down again. What are y'all going to do this time? Oh, wait a minute.
I got my car and went to Idaho.
There you go. I love it. So I'm saying this to you now. I'm saying this to you because, see, now, this time, because y'all are uncomfortable in this state right now because you got a little good government, everything seems good, she's sounding right, but guess what? She ain't going to be here forever. So you got to stand up for yourself. Ain't nobody coming to rescue you. God gave you the power. And stop using the word empower. You have power. It's like when people say Black Lives Matter. I'll bust out laughing. I have no idea what that is. Because as a black man, I have value. So if you say matter, that means I'm asking for permission to exist. Are you kidding me? Black Lives Matter. Huh? Are you kidding me? So hope, love, and action. May God continue to protect you. Thank you.
Kevin Jenkins, folks. I do think I figured out that critical race theory, though, Kevin. I did. Yeah, it's critical that the horse run fast to win the race. That's not a theory, that's fact. Yeah, that's just how it is. What are you up to now, Bob?
Well, I think this lady right here has something to share.
Bob thinks you got something to share.
Well, we'll decide afterwards. Hi, I just want to say that I've spent the last weekend with these wonderful folks and all of you here, and the inspiration and the motivation that they've given us, and they've given us the tools, but now it's time to take action. If we learn from anybody, we should learn from those little kids. Those little kids do not know fear, they do not know hate, they do not know divisiveness. They're united, they love. With love, you have no fear. Thank you for a wonderful weekend.
If it wasn't for Abe Lincoln, this night would not have been magical. If it wasn't for this young lady today, we wouldn't have had the same motivation that we had to be here. And I got to thinking about all of those plants that we've driven past, particularly in the desert in the past week. You know why desert plants are so strong? Because they live in a very stressed environment. And what's a plant do when the environment is stressed? Seeks deeper roots to find better water. Be like a desert plant. And that's what we are doing with you here.
Of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Sioux people, our brothers and sisters, all. If it was not for the code speakers of the Navajo and Cheyenne and other tribes in World War II against the Germans and the Japanese, these brave people who stood for this flag and bled and died like our ancestors, we wouldn't even be able to be here now. These are our brothers and sisters. And the government has screwed over the Native Americans, the American Indians, like they're trying to us now. They've already practiced it on these other on the other tribes. And we are a tribe of a different type. But they are our allies and our brothers and sisters. Whether we are black or brown or white or red or yellow, we are God's people. We are human beings. Together we stand. Together we stand. Together we stand. God bless you all. We love you.
Thank you for being here. You want to sing that song again? You want to sing that song again? We're going to sing this song one more time and we're going to get out of here, right? I want that freedom song. I tell you, you got to go tape that. Do what you want. Sing whatever. Do what you want.
Trent says some amazing grace, and so since it's a Sabbath, that would be appropriate, right? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Thank you for having us. We love you.
God bless America.